going to be looking at Nigeria's unity. You remember, decades now, we've been fighting hard to stay together as one, irrespective of the heterogeneous background we've got, different languages, tribes, tongues, and all of this seem not to be forging us ahead in terms of looking for that thread that would unite us together. Well, there have been various narratives that we must discuss. We must have a national dialogue, and we must have a ban on open grazing, like what we also saw on the pages of the newspaper, and where the presidency also backing up what the Attorney General of the Federation, Malami, said that, well, that does not align with the provisions of the Constitution. All of this seem to really border our unity, border our comfort, and how to tackle this. Basically, from the crux for which I'm having this great panelist with me. And first of all, let me quickly introduce to you a social media influencer, and he is an educationist, and he is the president of the Association for Formidable Educational Development. And he is Osagie God-Sent Erunse. Thanks for joining me, Osagie.
My pleasure again, Phil. Good morning, viewers. Thank you.
And next to him is a cyber security expert, an engineer, Edobo Uyosa Michael. Thanks for coming, Edobo.
Thank you.
And also joining me is a fine political analyst via Zoom, and he is Frank Ehiosun. Good morning to you, Frank.
Good morning, quite a pleasure.
Okay, good to have you join me, Frank Ehiosun. I quickly start with you. Nigeria is at a crossroad. We are faced with critical times where we are mourning the late Chief of Army Staff, Ibrahim Atahiru, and others whose ugly incident occurred in a plane crash. Some are saying, well, how do we minimize the risk faced by those who are on the front line fighting to protect the territory of the nation state?
So I didn't quite get your point.
Yeah, some are asking, well, how do we minimize the risk? You imagine the thoughts over the challenge that we've been faced with. Nigeria is mourning at present, and the late Chief of Army Staff and other army officers that were feared killed in the course of the plane crash at Kaduna. So people are asking, how do we minimize this risk? Because in the space of 90 days, we are having about 3 crashes. And the president did say that the national flag will be flown half-mast yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And of course, also gave public holiday to the members of the armed forces yesterday, Monday, 24th of May. So what do you take in terms of the thoughts over this demise, and also how to minimize the risk of those who are fighting at the forefront to protect Nigeria's territory? Frank.
First of all, I think I would express due condolence to all and sundry, especially to the families of those who fell in this, who passed in this crash. But I would primarily affirm that it's quite concerning and unfortunate. In talking about minimizing risk, for quite some time, there's been little or no issue of crashes as it pertains to aviation in this country. The few we've had, like I mentioned just now, about 3 in about 90 days or thereabout, are pertaining to the military. That's why I said it's quite concerning, because in any country, the people who you look up to the most in terms of being precise and meticulous in their affairs is the military, because they are both the average men in the game because of the kind of attention they pay to details. So that's why I said it's for me a bit concerning that not one, not two, this is the 3rd one, and the 3rd one took the best of men and folks with capacity in our military. So I just think that there needs to be a rethink, I don't know how to put it, or a regime of the system.
Okay.
We fly on commercial airlines. You've hardly heard of such in quite some years now. You take Air Peace, Arik, Aero, Asma, Max Air, the different airlines. And you see that there's a relative safety in terms of aviation. But for it to now be that the military that is supposed to be the best in this business, in quotes, now seem to be the ones that have been victims a third time in a period of about 3 months. I think it's quite concerning. I don't know, I'm sure reports will come out on what happened exactly to this last one.
Okay.
Because we're told by the news...
Okay, Frank Ayosun, there are also worries over the need for personnel training and also the aspect of checking the aircraft and seeing how good it is before these officers will board. Are you worried also about this? Frank Ayosun, can you hear me? Okay, I think we're having a bit of a network challenge over there. But let me quickly...
That's why I told them concerning to go.
Frank, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Frank.
Yes,
I did ask, I said there are worries, there are questions about the need for continuous personnel training in the military and also to check the equipment and aircrafts. Are you also worried about this?
Yes, the military is supposed to be the best in this. If reports come from the, I'm sure they get the black box and they do investigation. Maybe there will be more details as to what went wrong. But what we got from the news was that they were supposed to land in an airport and they were told to go land somewhere else. And some of us are wondering, if a plane is not able to land at a point, it should have enough fuel to go back to where it came from. Abuja to Kaduna is just about an hour drive or less, or thereabout, about an hour drive. So if going by air was not conducive because of the rainfall or some other conditions, it would have been possible to just go back and go by road. So it's difficult to make a headway in this until reports come forth as to what led to it. But talking about training, we all know what we have as a challenge in this country. When you have a system where who you know is more important than capacity or what you can do, of course, the consequences always emerge and we see them on and on and on. This is not to isolate this one per se or to attribute it to it specifically. But as a nation state, for so long a time, we have tried based on connection, nepotism, who you know, taking premium over capacity to do the job and competence as far as the matters are concerned.
Okay, Frank Ayosun, these fallen heroes paid the ultimate price for the country. And some are also saying that the president's absence in the burial seem not to augur well for the unity of the country. What do you think?
I think it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because there is a perception to it. Perception to the extent that you have such high caliber people who passed in the line of duty. In the line of duty, people who have taken the oath to lay their lives for the country. And for the number one in the military, with other senior folks to be victims of such notes, there is no other thing that should be more important. It's not just about the present appearing, it's the symbolism and the motivation to give to the other men in uniform, that they have value to their nation states. And that for me is where it's unexplainable. It's just my opinion, unexplainable. Even if it can't be there real time for, I can't tell, possibly health reasons, maybe some technology is available for you to be present anywhere, even if you are not present physically. That should have been done. We see how it goes in other climes. A friend of mine called me when COVID-19 treatment commenced in the US. He's an ex-serviceman in the US Army. And when he called me, he told me that, look, I'm in America. I've left the Army for more than 10 years. But see what happened. I just got a call now. Because I'm an ex-serviceman, before medical personnel begin to receive treatment, we are giving priority. They called them, they didn't just call him, they asked him to choose a date that is good, convenient for him to come and take his given citizens, they will stand up and give you space because they have respect for you, because government respects you. So I said, in this case, there's just no excuse for it. First of all, if you look at the video, the Minister of Defense that represented the president on the occasion was reading a speech that was written by I don't know who, that was unfortunately incoherent. And of course, it's already on social media everywhere. People are listening to the speech that was read by the Minister of Defense, which makes further mess of the absence of the president on that occasion.
Thank you, Frankie Hilson. Well, let's turn away from that. Let's look at the aspect of the South governors' resolutions, where they came up among the resolutions, which include the aspect of ban on open grazing and the restructuring of the country. And what greeted that by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, said that the resolutions on that does not align with the provisions of the Constitution. And on the headlines today, we are saying that the presidency is even backing that up, that that seems to be illegal. So what do you think of this? Do you think that resolution is a catalyst to disunite Nigeria?
No, the resolution is a very, very positive one. It's constitutional. If the Attorney thinks it's not constitutional, the courts of law, you can go to test it in the courts of law. That's why we have three arms of government, where there's a misunderstanding or contention as to an issue. You go to the court of law to decide on what is wrong or right. When I heard the president's speech yesterday, personally I was ashamed. Signed by the senior special assistant as usual. There are so many I's that are not dotted and T's that are not crossed before that speech was put forth. And in the course of the speech, he equally highlighted the fact that they should go back to grazing reserves. And I just wonder, I said, do these people know what the law says in this country? Federal government has no land anywhere. You are talking about grazing reserves. Do you own grazing reserve? It is the state governments that own grazing reserve. They know the law on land. It's in the Constitution. The Land Use Act has not been changed to not give federal government power over lands in the country. The only land where federal government has some sway is Abuja. So you see the half-baked approach to addressing the issues. The issue of the governor taking a position. Akeredolu is a former NBA chairman, president in this country. He had affirmed that it's a matter of the law. Given relevant points, so many lawyers have spoken that this thing is a constitutional right that was complied with. The governors took a decision. In fact, the governors are not fast enough, because I thought that by now the relevant states of assemblies would have localized the laws so that they will take it.
Yeah, domesticated it.
Okay, thank you, Frank Hilson. We'll be getting back to you, joining you again over the discussion. Thank you, Frank Hilson. Thank you, Frank. I'll be coming back to you. Quickly, let's get to you, Osage Godsentebose. You've been following the trend, the issues about the demise of the late Chief of Army Staff and what transpired, the absence of the president, and also issues concerning the resolutions of the South governors. What are your thoughts on this, and how do we nip anything that has to do with disuniting us as a country?
Okay, let me begin by, felicitating with the family, the immediate family of those...
Condoling.
Condoling, sorry, with the immediate family of those who lost their life. It was quite a sad experience, knowing fully well that they just finished the Juman prayer or something, and all of that. But be that as it may, this whole issue, my worries is these things keep on reoccurring. It's not the first time. It's not the second time. And any time things similar to this nature happens, there's always an alarm to say, should we train, or should we do this, or should we do that? At the end of the day, after the next 2-3 months, it's put again in the cooler until we have another repeat. Now, the question is, do we even learn from history or from previous mistakes and experiences? Because this is about the third, in series. And now it's sad that we are lost in the arrowhead. It's quite sad. Let me quickly say this. To the psychology of the average Nigerians, if those that are supposed to be at the forefront of the battle could not even ascertain their own details or could not really put their own house in order. How can you be fighting a battle and at the same time you are watching your back? Now it shows one thing, that there is a whole lot of internal sabotage in the military. There's so much that still needs to be put in place. I've said recently that I'm not against training. There's nothing wrong with training. There's also nothing wrong with buying the best equipment in the world and giving to our military. But believe me, Phil, the greatest weapon any nation have is the military personnel, not necessarily the weapons or the trainings. Because you will need to begin to go back and ask ourselves, how did things become this complicated? If we have had a first case, a second case, we would have expected that all measures would have been put in place. Who were the department, or what department was responsible for the detail of the late Chief of Army Staff? What department was responsible for his details? What happened? Why was the plane moved to another direction? Now, these are questions, but we really can't conclude yet until the whole report is out. But the point is, it's worrisome to see that we can lose major fighters in the fight against terrorism so cheaply and carelessly for a flight that is not even up to an hour within the same nation, and for a man of his caliber. Now, the average question is, then who then is safe?
We've been fighting this war against terrorists and, of course, banditry, and it seemed not to be abating, Oyusa Michael. Now, what do you see as the basic root cause of what could be stemming up as disunity in the country?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to share my condolences with the lost military personnel in Nigeria. You see, if we take it back to the roots, how did we get here? What is responsible for this fragmentation in Nigeria? If you look, we are having what we call it disintegration threat in Nigeria currently. If you look at from the east, the IPOP, they are doing their own over there. They are creating for Biafra nation. If you go to the southwest, you hear the secessionist group, which are trading for what we call it the Oduduwa Republic. If you come to the south-south, you also find out what is happening. The Niger Delta boys, they are agitating for higher derivation of oil. If you go to the middle belt, you find out a lot of banditry and all of. So both the so a lot of issues. And these issues is not just only threatening our development, it's threatening what we call the coexistence of Nigeria. This is where it's really affecting us. Now, if you look at everything that is happening in Nigeria, you still take it back to what we call it poor performance, poor government responsibility. Government are actually the people who are responsible for this. Now, we are told that there's beauty in diversity, not division. Now, Nigeria happens to be a diverse nation, which we are supposed to use our diversity to be able to enhance, of bringing all the best from every geopolitical zone and putting it together to make sure that we get to the unity. But rather, what we're having is our diversity is creating more problem for us, whereby marginalization is one of the issues that is happening in Nigeria, whereby some few clans feel that they are superior than the others. These are the issues. When I was growing up as a child, I remember my father served in the military. He told me about the first infantry division in Nigeria, which was 1967. I loved the military. When I graduated from university, I was hoping to do I did a short service, NDA twice. But what happened is that my name was not asked. Now, looking at this situation we are currently in Nigeria, this are supposed to be the time which I should be more motivated to even join the military, to fight the war. Will I go into the military, considering what is happening? When the chief of army staff is going to a lot of issues are happening, whereby money are supposed to be appropriated to take care of maintenance and this thing. These people are supporting this money for the church. Government is not holding them accountable. Who is to blame? It's the government.
Well, whatever you are saying concerning siphoning money, I think we don't have verifiable records for that. Yes, so whatever you are saying are allegations. So you can't prove that on this platform, and we don't have the right panelists to prove that on this platform. So I think you should just stay objective.
Okay, now, is this same country you heard that a snake swallows some huge amount of money, a monkey swallows? Are these realistic? Look at it. These are real facts.
Okay.
So if you are looking at a situation, a nation who tells you that a snake swallows such a huge amount of money, does that look realistic? Does it not tell you that these people are playing games with us? They're playing games with us. So the truth is that until government takes up responsibility and says, okay, this is it. See, if we have to solve the issues of this nation, first of all, we have to have competent people in the right places. That's the problem. The first thing is that we have incompetent people that are ruling this nation. That's the problem.
Okay, the challenge of the South governors coming up to tackle the aspect of insecurity, where they brought about the ban on open grazing.
Some are saying that this could be as a catalyst to disunite us. What do you think about that?
I totally disagree. You see, let me say this. You know, I was still on the way. Let me quickly say this.
Okay.
If you could recall, it was not only the issue of the ban of open grazing that the South-South governors addressed.
No.
Now the question is, what's the big deal about cow that we will never let go? Because they talked about
you can't say you can't say it's not you can't say it's
not
a big deal.
No,
just like what somebody said.
Calm down. I'm going somewhere.
What the cows mean to them is also what the spare parts mean to other
Is cow a government
business in the
or a private business? Let me ask you that. Is it a government business or a private? Why don't the government take my own business into a national discourse and think of how to set me up? It doesn't make sense, sir. Then let me quickly say this before I dived into that. If somebody as important and sensitive as the chief of army staff could go like that, and the president deemed it fit that there were other more important matters than to give his last respect to the departed, as sensitive as that position and the personalities that were involved, then you start asking yourself a whole lot of questions. I've always said, Phil, that the reason for the so many questions on the integrity, the competence, and the accountability nature of this government is as a result of the questions they have created in the heart of many Nigerians. You can't blame Nigerians today for their views, for their divided hearts, because this government have not been able to show us reasons why we should think otherwise. Now,
okay,
what
but don't
makes
you think
that the president cares about my life? If the life of the chief of army staff is not as important enough for him to pay the last respect. See, it's not about him being present, like Frank said. It's about the message you send down the line. Then you start asking yourself, what is the motivation for the military?
But don't forget the president has already. Don't forget the president declared that there should be the national flag to be flown half-mast.
It's not declared.
And
it's
public
present.
holiday was given
present
to the members
power,
of the armed forces yesterday.
We are not talking about declaration. Declaration is cheap, Phil. See, Phil, we have to call a spade a spade. This is our country. If we are not able to nail the nail to the wall, one day it will get to us. Things are falling apart. And we started saying this over the years. Now people started saying, hey, don't go political or whatever. Is it about politics we are talking about now? Or about our lives? Now, there are two things that sent to me. How will the president now be able to convince me as an ordinary Nigerian that he really cares about our security? What is his priority in terms of security? Because if a man as important as that, look at the speech I was giving on his behalf, everything was just done so shabbily. This is a government that never prepared to govern.
Well, you can't say that. You can't say that.
It's my submission.
You can't say that,
they have
please.
not been able to convince
you can't
me
say
otherwise.
That. I think we should stay focused.
That otherwise.
They were not prepared
to
I think we should stay focused, please.
I'm focused.
This to please urge you to be civil in your presentation.
I've been as civil as possible. You see,
let's look at the aspect.
Let me talk about the governors. You asked something about their resolution. Okay. I will land very soon. What has the governor said that is a big deal? I'm happy Frank have said that, because I was going to say that. Who is in charge of the state lands according to the Nigeria Constitution? So when I was shocked when I read through the speech of the Minister of Justice. And I begin to wonder, are we in a banana republic or we are in a nation? See, let me quickly say this. How united we are is going to be determined by the actions and inactions of our political elites. And believe me, the reason for the great divide.
Okay. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you, please. I'll come back to you, Sergey Godsent. Let's quickly take your opinion before I join Frank also now. We have this aspect where some say that just as the cows are precious to some people, so also are the spare parts precious to some people. Now, if you are to say that you prevent them from moving about, for their cattle to graze, don't you think that could also skyrocket to a point where the people in the north will also react over that, and this could cause could overwhelm us as a country? Don't you think so?
Yeah, you see, I listened to the statement, the interview of the Malami. You see, that's what I said. I said when you have incompetent people in government, you can see it's very easy to come out and just give up some silly statements. First of all, how can you be comparing cattle rearing and with papers business? First of all, the cattle rearers, do they pay tax? No. These papers, these are people who rented shops and they pay for their shop, and they are paying tax to the government. So if you look at it, these are two incomparable businesses. Now, the southern government, I'm not even talking about evil bandit, because first of all, take it or leave it, we all enjoy from the world, from the cow, this thing, from the production. So we should be looking at
the meat and milk production.
Yes. So what are the alternative ways whereby we can actually produce all this stuff and without having issues with the farmers and other class. So these are the reasons why the southern government says, okay, let us create an alternative way, which is ranching, which is what is being done in all the civilized nations. Nigeria does not raise cattle more than even Brazil. Brazil has more cattle than Nigeria. But these people, these cattle, they don't move on the streets. They are well ranched. So these are what we are talking about. So if you now hear somebody who is supposed to be the Attorney General of the nation, somebody who is supposed to represent the interest of Nigeria, is talking about comparing cattle and this thing. So you can see that I cannot really understand.
But don't you also concur? Don't you also concur that this aspect of ban on open grazing should be what should be tackled in terms of the constitutional amendment, and not what the governors should just declare openly?
Yes, like he said. You see, first of all, like my brother already said, land does not belong to the government. It is the state government. The land is the state government that's in charge of the land. So if the state government said, okay, this is what they have resolved. So I don't think the federal government should have, what we should be looking at is there an alternative for these people to be able to carry out their daily activities going about without having issues. These are issues we should be looking at, not just taking like, oh, because that's why I said, first of all, the problem we are having in this country is the issue of hatred. The southern man does not like the northern man. These are basic issues. Now, the southern man sees the northern man as an enemy. These are issues. When there's an issue between the two parties, everybody look at it. If you see, this is, I said, religious issues, religious ethnicity issue.
But don't you think you can't just say that categorically? Because to a great extent, we also have them in our midst, and we coexist and we work together as neighbors.
Now you see,
so I think what you just said could be seen as a fragment.
No, look at it.
Of your imagination.
This is not just a fragment. This is the reality on ground. Look at it. What is leading to the secessionist movement in Yoruba land? Because why? They feel that they are being marginalized by the Hausas, by the Fulanis. These are what is happening. What is happening? What is leading to the IPOB movement? Because they feel that they are also marginalized. These are issues. Okay. So these are the reasons why Nigeria is reaching. So we have not had a central unit, a central body, a government bringing everybody to the table, whereby everybody will be well represented in the issues that has to do with governance.
Okay, I think that's where we are looking at in the direction of the zonal public hearing, where the National Assembly suspended plenary so that its members can participate fully on this public hearing. And Frank Ehioson is still with us as a political analyst. Frank, please, can you share your thoughts about this public hearing that will be held in the 6th geopolitical zone?
So before I share my thoughts, let me just highlight something over the last issue in discourse. First of all, when you were giving credit to the president for the directive that they should lower the mast, the flag. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Go ahead, Frank.
Now, I said, when you are giving credit to the government or the presidency for lowering the flag, have you ever seen any nation where people die or there's a calamity and it's 2 days after they have been buried that they lower the flag? All these were made afterthoughts, trying to make amends after the obvious failures have been reflected to the public and the world at large. So they died on Friday. The flag was not lowered. It wasn't lowered on Saturday, they were buried. On Sunday, it wasn't. It was on Monday that they now said all such things being done. Anyway, that's by the side. Secondly, on the issue of cows, that sector of business in this country is worth hundreds upon hundreds of billions, rolling into trillions. Go and check FIRS records of revenue collection. There's barely little or nothing, in fact, there is zero contribution. They don't pay tax to the government.
Thank you.
They are businessmen. Government is paying attention to them. Spare part dealers pay tax.
Please,
Sheep, people that rear goats and fish in Benin and other parts of the country, they pay tax. Government does not pay attention to them. There are people that make so much money and do not pay tax to the government. And the ones that federal government also take. That's why they give the impression that the Seal like SIP is a partnership with a system driven by ethnic predominant sentiments. is that the money they've wasted in this control review process is enough to generate power that will give the whole of this country power, will be a power like civilized world. Do you know? I watched it live on TV. It was on Channels TV about 2 months ago or thereabouts. A member of the National Assembly was being quizzed, and he was saying that they don't have enough money to even do the stuff. He made a comment on TV that every sitting they have, for any sitting, when you see they are holding sitting to either do investigation or meeting, he said the minimum cost, he says 10 million per sitting. So just imagine the money going to everywhere they visit, per sitting and discussion, which is a special case.
Okay, but Frank,
I imagine the tens of millions that he consumes.
Okay.
Not the
Okay, Frank, I think it's not about persons, you know. It's about staying objective, please. It's not about persons, please. Just stay objective. We don't need to raise sentiments, please.
No, it's not sentiment. Philip must be serious in this country.
Of course.
Enough of the rubbish we have done for
We have
decades.
the right to be angry.
Please, you can't say that. Please, you can't say that. Watch your utterances, please. You can't say that, please. Be civil, please. So let's look at ways. Frank Elson, let's look at ways that can be advanced, you know, in quelling the issues that seem to border unity in the country. Looking at the zonal public hearings that will be taking place.
You asked me a question, and it's centered around the control review that is ongoing. And I had to throw light on what we see from what is ongoing. I didn't mention somebody's name. We paid them. They are paid with tax money. That meeting they are going to hold in all the states is you and I. It's our taxes they are using. So we must interrogate the process. I'm not saying that what is going on is not a good one. I'm saying that this exercise has been going on for so many years. What value addition have we gotten? So we are saying that right now we must not just go for the sake of constitutional amendment discussion, but there must be seriousness to it. That is my point. The petroleum industry, the petroleum PIB, for almost 2 decades, that has been in the office, has it been passed? So many things are left unattended. So I'm not saying that it's not a good one, but I'm saying that there should be vitality to it. If they are doing review, they should review it to the point that laws are made for the country to work, because the country is not working. We have been going down the drain for so many decades.
Okay.
So in this exercise, it shouldn't be the silly money of we amended the constitution in our time, just like they did in the 8th Assembly, in the 7th Assembly, in the 6th Assembly. I am saying that most of it amounts to waste of taxpayers' money and collection of city allowances. So they should do it in a way that, okay, if this amendment takes place, it should stop this headers from masters we are talking about. It should address security challenges. It should ensure that we have power. They should decentralize the education system in this country, where state governments cannot generate power they can supply to their citizens.
Okay.
So there are so many issues, we have so many problems, but the amendment of constitution does not quite address them because they seem to be ceremonial rather than addressing the issues. That is my point.
Okay, thank you, Frank Elson.
I'm telling you, the money that we spent on this exercise is billions.
Thank you, Frank Elson. There are various issues that really begging for attention. God sent to say, even the aspect of the criminalizing of ransom payment, which is also a bone of contention, which was already on the second reading in the National Assembly. So, what you see as the core lines that should be addressed in this public hearing?
Let me quickly say, first of all, that we need to learn to begin to hold the government accountable.
You said that earlier.
Yes, I want to emphasize that.
Just go straight to the question, please.
I am looking forward to a time when you talk about criminalizing ransom for
payment.
For ransom payment, it's not making sense. Why? As the security issue be abated, are we safe now? What have the government that have been saddled with the responsibility of providing security and safety, which is the primary responsibility of governance, what have they done about security? Are you telling me that I will watch my own father being kidnapped, humiliated, and killed? Then you will tell me I should not ever think of negotiating?
So you mean to say that legislators failed in that objective?
Listen, when the security agencies cannot even rescue him out, see, I'm going to start thinking of an alternative. We are not saying it's the best approach, but I'm saying that you don't skip gap and start projecting a law. That law to try to criminalize ransom is insensitive, and it's not something that I expect should even be at the front burner at this time. What should be at the front burner is how safe are we? What is the difference and the relationship between herders and farmers? In all of these arguments we are having, Malami is not talking about farmers' welfare. He's not talking about how many food have been destroyed. The government is not concerned. We have been able to degenerate our own problem and shoot ourselves on the leg. Why? Because we have taken the cow issue to now an ethnic fight, which ought not to have been. Because nobody is fighting the Fulani, neither is anybody fighting the Hausas.
No, yes, please.
Of course, that's a statement in the right direction.
Yes, again, I must say that there's no mentioning of any name of a tribe, please.
Listen.
Please, let's stay focused, let's be objective, because what we're discussing here is not about tribe, it's about unity of the country.
I am not castigating any tribe. I just said nobody is fighting the Fulani or the Hausas.
Just stay online, please.
So why will a certain our political leaders now try to always want to take, they are the ones taking it as a tribal fight. Because there are statements they make. When a governor comes and tell you anything you do to Fulani, they will never forget. What are you insinuating?
Well, you are still raising sentiments, please. You are still raising sentiments.
See, who is more guilty
I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you.
Those in political offices.
I'll come back to you.
We have to address the issue.
Let's look at Uyosa. Let's look at issues surrounding how to make our country work. Now, we have the challenge of ransom payment, which is being criminalized and has gone through the second reading. What you see outside that, the cause that should be focused upon in terms of the zonal public hearing going on?
You see, on the issue of the ransom payment, first of all, I don't see criminalizing payment of ransom. I don't see it as an issue. If the government has decided to say, oh, we want to criminalize anybody that paid them, like they said, 15 years in prison, it's fine. But as much as they are doing that, they should also make it as a responsibility for them that is the duty of the government to make sure that when anybody is being kidnapped, they have the necessary security personnel on ground to make sure to rescue this person.
Rescue them.
Because if that is on ground, I think nobody should be talking about why are they criminalizing. Because at least
so it's like setting the cart before the horse.
You get my point. So that's actually my own take. So I feel that they should put in enough security, because if you look at it critically, even the security personnel, they are being kidnapped. People, members of the police family are being kidnapped. The military, their families members are being kidnapped. The senators, they are being kidnapped also. They are members of their family.
So no one seems to be safe.
So nobody seems to be safe. So if you are not talking about putting such this thing, government should also be planning on how to rescue these persons. So if that is being put in place, you find out that nobody will even have any issue to do with this thing. But because if you put up such kind of a bill and put such kind of a bill that nobody should pay or something, fine, no problem. But people will still go behind. People want to save their family. They'll still go behind the government to still pay this ransom. That's the truth. So we should be looking at getting the security architecture of this nation rightly. So when this is rightly, nobody will be talking about issue of criminalizing or something. No, who wants to pay money? Who wants a family member who wants to go and pay 10 million to rescue family? Nobody wants to pay money. So this is not the issue of we individuals. It's not the issue. It's the issue of the government coming to its responsibility, understanding that these things, it is our duty to protect life and save the city. So when they start doing their functions, they will not be issued. So these are actually the issues we have to look into. And even looking at in general in the context of these hearings, public hearings, there are a lot of issues which we have to look into. Now, first of all, what are the things that divide us as a Nigeria? What are the things that unite us together as a Nigeria? If you watch, sport is one of the major things that when it comes to football, you see that everybody is united. Both the outside, both everybody loves sports. You understand? These are the things that brings the unity of Nigeria together. We should start looking at the things that we need to promote in this country that will bring the love of Nigeria, that oneness together. These are the things we need to look at. Okay. And we should look at the things that are causing issues, the disintegration between Nigerians. Do you understand? Ethnicity. Everybody should be well represented at the national level, at various levels, at various capacity. So we should start giving jobs to competent people in the right place, people who are able to do this job for us. We should put them there. So when we have the right people in the right places, things will start. It's not even an issue for me. I don't have an issue if Obama or if Obama is in power. I don't have issue with that. Are we well represented? Are they doing what they're supposed to do for us? Are they taking care of us as citizens? Are they protecting us? Are they assuring us of our security? Are we safe? These are the issues. When those things are being catered for, nobody will be talking about.
Thank you, Yosa Michael. In case you're just joining us, as TMI Tuesday, and this to let you know that the expressions here are the expressions of the makers and not that of independent television. I'm still being joined by Frank Ehiosun and also Oyosa Michael and Osage Godsent Erunse. Frank Ehiosun, let's look at this whole issue because some are saying that the governors, the South governors, instead of them looking at ways to manage the challenge that comes with cattle grazing, they are rather going about banning open grazing. Now, what do you see or suggest as ways of managing this so that it doesn't skyrocket beyond what we can handle?
There's no yardstick for it to skyrocket. The truth is that we have just appeared like it is on most occasions as an unserious collective. So issues that are supposed to be discussed by kindergarten folks and now become national discourse. And that's just the truth. That they banned grazing is something that should have been taken care of long ago. Funny enough, this ranching we are talking about, in this same country, even before independence, we had ranches in different parts of the country, both north and south. So it's so funny that rather than grow in the positive direction, we are going back to what we should have left for so long a time. When they mention ranching, it seems as if it is strange. Obafemi Awolowo as premier of Western region, not one, not two, not three ranches did he build in his time. They were those that were inherited from our colonial masters. So saying that the government should think of some other stuff to do, yes, they ought to act quite pronto.
Okay.
In my opinion, they acted very late.
Okay, but Frank Ehiosun, you can hear me, please. We are not able to get what they are really advancing forward in terms of the South governors. Are they making provisions for lands, for ranching? That could be the big question that a lot of persons are asking.
It's a personal business, Oga.
No.
You should rent it.
You shouldn't do that.
Land.
People that say cow,
Don't do that.
to make a provision for poverty people, it's business.
It's personal
You
business.
want to say cow, you buy land to do your ranching.
Can I provide? Yes.
Worst case scenario is that
for you.
government can support
Beg.
businesses as a matter of
With
policy.
loans.
Government can support business as a matter of policy. How can you come and take land on that support to say because they are rent cow? How many people that are codes and government giving land? That's why I said this priority given to these headers because they are from a certain section of the country. It's very, very funny and it's even I don't want to use a word that I'm not supposed to use. The question you're asking for me, the question is defective. Government is supposed to make policies for businesses to try, all businesses. Not giving special premium to a specific business. People, there are people in Benin that have cows. They have big cow farms. Is it government that gave them land? When they sell the cow, who takes the money? They don't even pay tax to government. So now I'm saying that what you are saying that government should give them land. No, it's out of this world. Even farmers, when government make provision for land, there is some process by which government gets payment or some benefits in the process. So that's why I said government should not. In the short of time, the first thing is to ban it because what they're doing is illegal.
Okay, Frank Ehiosun, can you hear me? Frank Ehiosun, can you hear me? We understand that we have a fragile peace at present, and there is a need for us to hit the polity that is already being heated. Now, what do you see as the way out, as solutions advanced to keep our national unity intact?
See, my brother, let me tell you the truth. It is better for us to swim in the pool of tragic optimism than keep climbing on the mountain of medieval sophistry. In this, in my opinion, seeming perennial dysfunction that we call Nigeria. That is the truth. We must face reality. There is nothing fragile, nothing like fragile peace. It is
Thank you very much, Frank.
So all government needs to do is to take a step further, like I said. It is legalized. Promote policies for businesses to thrive, not just cow business. All businesses. Preference should not be made for one because it belongs to certain people.
Okay, thank you, Frank Ayosun. Thank you for taking our time to be part of this discussion, and this is wishing you a beautiful day ahead of you. All right, let's get your final words on this, Oyosa Michael.
Thank you very much.
As we look towards resolving the issues that seem to threaten our existence as a people.
You see, for me, I think I want the government to be very proactive, give credence when it's necessary. Now, no sector of Nigeria, no clan, no geopolitical zone should be marginalized. We should all be treated as one. The North should have respect for the South. The South should also have respect for the North. So everybody, we have to treat ourselves as Nigeria and look at our diversity and put it together to form a better bond and to form a better society for ourselves. These are my humble submission. And also, in regards to the late Chief of Army Staff,
Ibrahim Atairo.
Ibrahim Atairo, you see, it's not just Ibrahim Atairo. If you look at that crash, you find out that we have other top officers, cadet officers.
Yeah.
So that Brigadier General,
about 10 of them.
4 of them that were there. If you look at the cost of even training an officer, it's very expensive. So losing them is not something so easy. So it's a lot of sacrifice, but it's a lot of cost for us. So as such, where we can actually mitigate and try as much as to avert such things like this, these things that might be due to even maintenance. If you remember very well, March 31st, we lost two flight officers. Up to now, we don't know where they are. Up to now, we did not know where they are. They said we only had the plane crashed, but we don't know where these people are. Up to now, what are the people doing? What are they doing? Don't you have people on ground to feel okay? They can never see their family doesn't even see.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody. So, in other words, what I'm trying to say, in other words, we should try as much as possible to take this thing serious because it has a way of actually. Imagine the last the last incident that happened whereby the president was not there. On a very good, do you remember that in 2016, the ambassador of Russia to Turkey, when he lost his life to terrorism, the president was there. What happened to when a police officer was shot in France? Emmanuel Macron was there. These are the reasons. These are what we're talking about.
Okay.
That our president should be there.
Thank
That's
you.
my final words. So
Thank you. Your final words on this, Sage Gossent.
You have not allowed me to articulate my point, and I don't like that. If we come on here, we should be allowed. What I've said is not so much different from Frank Oyosu's stance on these issues. You know, if we come on here, we should be able to. We own our statements. It's not. It has nothing to do with IT.
But again, even though you own your statement, even though you own your statement, don't forget that the airspace is also being regulated. So don't also forget the airspace is being regulated, please.
No, my brother, there's nothing. What I'm saying is everything I've said can be defendable.
Okay. Your final words on this, please.
My final words is the governor should act on whatever they are saying. They should domesticate the bill. We should stand our ground, and we should be able to ask ourselves, are we ready to exist as a nation or not? And in the course of these zonal deliberations, it should be clear, devolution of power is not an option. I mean, the power should be divided. A situation where all power is concentrated on the center should be discouraged.
Well, thank you very much. These are your thoughts. Big thanks for taking our time to be part of this, Osage Godsent, and of course, Oyosa Michael.
Thank you very much.
This is what we'll call it a close on the discussion segment. It's still TMI. Don't you go away.